Captain Ju Park stood tall despite feeling small as she gazed through the viewport. The human ship looked like a toy next to the enormous Galactic Confederation vessel. Its metallic surface gleamed in the starlight, covered with strange markings and weapon systems unlike anything humans had created. "Stay calm and project confidence," Ju whispered to her crew as the docking procedure completed with a soft thud. The airlock hissed open, revealing their welcoming committee. The human delegation fought to keep their expressions neutral. The aliens were massive and varied in ways their briefings hadn't prepared them for. Some towered 3 meters tall with stone-like skin. Others moved with blinding speed, their limbs almost blurring. Ambassador Tekka of the Brune led the group. His body resembled polished granite with glowing veins of energy pulsing beneath. When he moved, it sounded like boulders shifting. "Welcome to the Confederation." Tekka's voice rumbled so deeply that Ju felt it in her chest. "We are pleased to meet another spacefaring race, even one as physically modest as yours." Ju bowed slightly. "The people of Earth are honored to make your acquaintance." The alien delegation led them through corridors designed for beings much larger than humans. Commander Do-Yem Kim walked beside Ju, his hand casually touching the recording device in his pocket. His eyes darted from species to species, cataloging their features. "The Brune have external skeletons that appear stronger than steel," he whispered to Ju. "The blue ones, the Erics, move faster than our eyes can track. And the spotted ones seem to be healing a wound even as we watch." Science Director Haijin Ba added, "Those would be the Nalvu. Their cellular regeneration is remarkable." Their whispered observations stopped when they entered a grand chamber where more aliens waited. A holographic display showed star systems and a strange twisting energy pattern moving between them. "This is why we've accelerated first contact protocols," Tekka explained, gesturing to the display. "This spatial anomaly has appeared in 3 systems already. It destroys everything it touches." Ju studied the display. "Has anyone been able to get close enough to study it properly?" As slender Erics laughed, the sound like tinkling bells. "Your concern is appreciated, but this is a matter for more capable species. The gravitational forces alone would crush your fragile forms." The Confederation officials spent the next hour classifying humanity as a Class C species, explaining that this was no insult but simply an acknowledgement of their physical limitations. Humans lacked natural weapons, possessed minimal strength compared to Confederation standards, and had no extraordinary biological abilities. "We will include your representatives in our response team," Tekka concluded, "but for your safety, you'll serve in support positions only. Communications, perhaps, or data analysis from the protected command center." Later, aboard their ship, Juwoo's team gathered in the conference room. Frustration showed on every face. "They think we're helpless children," Security Chief Woojin complained, slamming his fist on the table. "Did you see how that Brune officer demonstrated their strength by bending a metal bar? He was showing off. They're stronger, faster, and tougher than us," Ju acknowledged calmly. "But that's not all that matters." Haijin projected her findings onto the screen. "The anomaly produces intense gravitational waves and radiation patterns. Based on what I've observed of Confederation physiology, they may actually be more vulnerable to these conditions than we are." "How so?" Do-Hyun asked. "The Brune's dense exoskeletons would experience more stress under extreme gravitational forces. The Erics' accelerated metabolism would make them more susceptible to radiation poisoning. And the Nalu's regenerative abilities require enormous energy that might be disrupted by the anomaly's effects." Ju nodded thoughtfully. "And humans? We're adaptable." Haijin smiled. "Our bodies handle G-forces better than many species. Our slower metabolism might protect us somewhat from radiation effects. And most importantly, we've evolved to endure. Human spaceflight training already prepares us for conditions similar to what we might face." "So what's our plan?" asked Woojin, leaning forward with renewed interest. "We accept our assigned roles without complaint," Ju decided. We learn everything we can. We prepare for when, not if, a crisis occurs that will require our unique capabilities. As they prepared to transfer to the Confederation vessel for the mission, Ju gathered her crew for final words. They see our physical form and think it defines our limits, she told them. They don't understand that humans have always survived not because we were the strongest, but because we never accepted our limitations. We'll show them what humanity truly offers the galaxy, not through words, but through actions when the moment comes. The crew nodded with determination as they boarded the shuttle that would take them to their first interstellar mission, ready to prove that humanity's place among the stars would be earned through more than mere muscle. The huge ship called Stellar Dominance hummed with activity as the human team found their stations. Captain Ju Park watched her crew settle into their assigned roles, all minor positions that the Confederation deemed suitable for their limited capabilities. Commander Taehyun Kang stood at a basic monitoring station, his jaw tight as he observed a Bruin officer nearby. The stone-skinned alien effortlessly lifted a power converter unit that would have required a team of humans with mechanical assistance. Showing off again, Taehyun muttered, his fingers gripping the edge of his console. Ju moved beside him, keeping her voice low. Don't let it get to you. They understand strength only one way. We'll show them our kind of strength when the time comes. And when will that be? They have us monitoring communication channels and running basic system checks. They've stationed Security Chief Woojin in a storage bay, Captain. Patience, Ju replied. Our moment will come. That moment arrived just 6 hours into their journey. The ship's alert system blared without warning. The view screen showed a swirling mass of energy ahead, a projection from the anomaly they were investigating. Gravitational distortion detected, called out a Nolu officer. Intensity far beyond predicted levels. Before anyone could react, the wave hit. The massive ship lurched violently, artificial gravity systems struggling against the natural force striking the vessel. Equipment not properly secured flew across rooms. The lights flickered as systems fought to maintain power. Ju grabbed her console to steady herself. Around her, the scene was chaos, but not as expected. The mighty Bruin officers had collapsed to the deck, their heavy bodies betraying them as the gravitational forces multiplied their weight exponentially. The quick-moving Erics stood frozen, their delicate balance mechanisms overwhelmed. Even the adaptable Nolu were struggling, their bodies using precious energy trying to heal the strains the gravity was causing. Yet the humans remained standing. Years of space training had prepared them for gravitational shifts. Their smaller mass worked to their advantage, and their inner ear structure helped them adjust. Humans, report status. Ju called into her communicator. One by one, her crew checked in from across the ship. All were functioning, all were mobile. This is our moment, Ju announced. Medical team to all decks. Engineering team, stabilize the gravity systems. Security, secure any hazardous materials. The humans sprang into action. Chief Medical Officer Minji Lee organized her team, moving from fallen alien to alien. She knelt beside a Bruin officer whose stone-like skin had cracked under his own weight. Their strength is their weakness now, she explained to her assistant as she administered a muscle relaxant. Their dense musculature and heavy protective features are crushing them under the increased gravity. In engineering, Hyjin and her team worked feverishly to correct the ship's orientation, using their smaller bodies to reach spaces that the larger alien engineers couldn't access even under normal conditions. Route emergency power to the stabilizers, Hyjin called out, her hands moving quickly across the alien controls she had studied so carefully. Compensate for the wave direction at 43 degrees. Gradually, the ship's spinning slowed. The gravitational effects diminished as Hyjin's team brought systems back online one by one. On the bridge, Ju worked with Taehyun to organize the response, directing humans throughout the vessel to where they were most needed. Their smaller size allowed them to move through maintenance tunnels and crawl spaces, reaching critical systems that would otherwise be inaccessible. Captain Rocco, the Eric's commander of the vessel, watched from where he was braced against his command chair. His typically blur-fast movements were reduced to slow, deliberate actions as his body fought against the gravitational pressure. "How are they still functioning?" he asked his first officer, who could barely lift his head to respond. "Unknown, Captain. Their physiology should make them more vulnerable, not less." They observed as the human crew efficiently restored key systems, tended to injured crew members, and secured the ship. What they lacked in raw strength, they made up for in coordination and adaptability. 3 hours later, the crisis had passed. The ship was stable, and the medical bay was filled with recovering alien crew members. Captain Rocco called Juwu to the bridge for a debrief. "Your crew performed unexpectedly well," Rocco admitted, his voice still strained from the ordeal. "Thank you, Captain," Juwu replied simply. "Our assessments may have been incomplete. It seems your species has adaptations we failed to consider valuable." Juwu nodded. "Strength takes many forms, Captain. Humans have survived on Earth because we could adapt to changing conditions. We aren't the strongest, but we endure." As she left the bridge, Juwu noticed the subtle change in how the alien crew watched her. There was curiosity now, perhaps the beginning of respect. It wasn't much, but it was a start. In the human quarters that evening, her crew gathered to review what they had learned. "This is just the beginning," she told them. "They're watching us now. Let's show them what humans can do." Retreat. The ancient space station hung silently against the backdrop of stars, its curved metal surfaces dull with age. The stellar dominance approached cautiously, scanners sweeping the mysterious structure. Initial readings show the station is at least 50,000 years old, Hyjin reported on the bridge. The internal atmosphere remains intact but contains unusual chemical compounds. Captain Rocco frowned as he reviewed the data. These compounds would cause severe respiratory distress to most Confederation species. Even with filtration systems, exposure would be uncomfortable and potentially dangerous. Juwu stepped forward. "Our analysis shows these elements are harmless to human physiology. We can safely explore the station while your teams monitor from a distance." The alien captain hesitated. The gravitational wave incident had forced him to reconsider his view of humans, but sending them alone seemed risky. "Our team is prepared," Juwu continued. "This is what we trained for." After a brief council with his officers, Rocco agreed. "Very well, but maintain constant communication. At the first sign of danger, you will return immediately." The shuttle carried Juwu and her team across to the station. Engineer Junho Lee worked excitedly on his equipment, while Security Chief Sungmin Choi checked his weapon for the third time. Medical Officer Minji Lee and Science Director Hyjin completed the team. They docked at an ancient airlock that hissed open with surprising ease. "Air quality confirmed safe for humans," Hyjin announced as they stepped inside. The corridors were narrow and low-ceilinged, uncomfortable for the larger Confederation species, but perfectly sized for humans. "Does anyone else find that interesting?" Shunho asked. "These passages seem built for beings our size." They moved deeper into the station, passing strange symbols carved into the walls. The lighting activated automatically as they approached, dim blue illumination guiding their way. "Captain, you need to see this," Juno called from a large circular chamber they discovered. The room contained what appeared to be control consoles with handprints embedded in their surfaces. Juwu placed her hand in one depression. Nothing happened. "Maybe it needs power," Hyjin suggested, examining nearby systems. Juno connected his diagnostic tool to what looked like a power junction. As he worked, the console suddenly hummed to life. The handprint under Juwu's palm glowed softly. "I didn't do anything," Juno said, looking puzzled. Juwu felt a strange tingling sensation. The console's lights pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. "Captain, I think this system is responding to your neural patterns," Haijin said in amazement. These controls are designed to interface directly with brainwaves similar to human patterns. That's impossible, Minji objected. How could an ancient alien species build technology compatible with human biology? Shunho's eyes widened with realization. Unless they weren't alien at all. Captain, I think this station was built by beings biologically similar to humans. Before they could discuss this further, Sungman's voice crackled over the communicator. Captain, we have a problem. I found evidence of recent activity. Someone has been here before us. Suddenly, their communications with the Confederation ship cut off. That's not equipment failure, Haijin said, checking her devices. We're being jammed. Sungman drew his weapon. Everyone stay alert. We're not alone here. They proceeded with caution, moving through the station in tight formation. As they entered what appeared to be a data center, the attack came. A figure lunged from the shadows, a Nalu with the distinctive spotted skin of their regenerative species. He targeted Minji first, clearly assuming the smaller human would fall easily. It was a mistake. Years of combat training kicked in, and Minji sidestepped the attack, using the alien's momentum against him. Sungman fired a stunning shot, while Shunho and Haijin moved to flank the intruder. The Nalu recovered quickly, his body already healing from the stun blast. He charged again, this time toward Juwu. The team moved as one, coordinating their actions without words. Each person knew their role, creating a defensive formation that kept the stronger attacker off balance. For 10 minutes, they fought in the confined space. The Nalu grew increasingly frustrated as the humans evaded his powerful strikes, while landing their own smaller but precise blows. Stand still and fight, the saboteur growled. That would be poor strategy, Juwu replied calmly, moving just beyond his reach. Gradually, the Nalu's movements slowed. His regenerative abilities required enormous energy, and the constant movement was taking its toll. The humans, meanwhile, paced themselves, taking turns engaging the attacker. Finally, a coordinated strike from multiple directions brought the saboteur down. As Sungman secured him with restraints, the Nalu looked up at the humans with confusion. How can you keep fighting? He gasped. Your muscles should be failing by now. Juwu knelt beside the captive. Endurance, she explained simply. Humans evolved to persist when stronger creatures would collapse. We're not built for quick victories. We're built to last. With the jammer disabled, communications returned. They learned the Nalu was part of a faction opposed to sharing the ancient technology. He had expected the weak humans to be easy targets if they discovered anything valuable. More importantly, as they continued exploring the station, they confirmed Shunho's theory. The station had indeed been built by a humanoid species with neural patterns remarkably similar to Earth humans. This could change everything, Haijin whispered as they discovered recordings showing the ancient builders. If they built technology that responds to us, they might have left other legacies across the galaxy. When Captain Rocco and his officers finally entered the station wearing protective gear, they found the humans not just surviving, but thriving, mastering ancient systems that remained dormant under alien touch. It seems, Rocco admitted reluctantly, that we have much to learn about the true meaning of strength. Alarms blared throughout the Confederation fleet as emergency signals flashed on every screen. The spatial anomaly had suddenly tripled in size, sending deadly energy pulses toward populated systems. On the main ship, leaders from 12 species argued loudly in the council chamber. We must evacuate the Telnary system immediately, shouted a Brune commander, pounding his stone fist on the table. Impossible. There are 8 million colonists there, countered an Eric's representative. Then we deploy the energy barriers, insisted another. The human team stood quietly in the corner of the chamber. They had been invited as a courtesy after their success on the ancient station, but few paid attention to them. Haijin whispered urgent calculations to Juwu as they watched the chaos unfold. These options will fail, Haijin said. The anomaly's energy signature is evolving too quickly. Juwu stepped forward, raising her voice. "Council members, please hear our analysis." A few aliens turned toward her, but most continued their heated debate. Captain Rocco noticed her attempt and struck a resonating tone with his ceremonial staff. The room gradually quieted. "The human representative wishes to speak," he announced. Ju nodded gratefully. "Thank you, Captain. Our science team has analyzed both the anomaly and the ancient station. We believe the station was not a research facility as previously thought. It was designed as containment technology, specifically to control this type of anomaly." Murmurs spread through the council as Hyjin projected her findings onto the main display. "The control systems we activated responded to human neural patterns. We've translated enough of their records to understand their purpose. The station builders faced this same threat thousands of years ago." A senior Nolu counselor frowned. "If what you say is true, why did they abandon the station?" "They didn't abandon it," Ju replied quietly. "They sacrificed themselves to contain the anomaly the first time. The station is actually a massive control mechanism that requires specific biological input to function fully." The room fell silent as understanding dawned on the alien faces. "You're suggesting a suicide mission," said Captain Rocco. "We're suggesting a necessary risk," corrected Ju. "The station must be fully activated and recalibrated to contain the anomaly. It requires someone physically present at the core control chamber to synchronize with the system." The council erupted again, this time in dismissal of the human plan. It was too risky, too uncertain. They would try conventional methods first. The Broom Defense Minister outlined a plan to deploy energy shield technology instead. After 2 hours of debate, the council voted. The human proposal was rejected in favor of the conventional approach. Ju and her team were thanked for their input and dismissed. In the corridor outside, the human crew gathered closely. "The shield will fail within hours," Hyjin stated flatly. "Millions will die while they prepare their second option." Ju looked at each member of her team. "Then we act on our own. Are we agreed?" No one hesitated. They all nodded. "I'll prepare our shuttle," Juno said. "I'll gather the equipment we need," added Minji. As they moved to leave, Captain Rocco stepped from the council chamber. "You're going anyway," he said. It wasn't a question. Ju met his gaze steadily. "We are. Every calculation shows your defense will fail. We can't wait and watch people die. The council has made its decision, and we've made ours. You can stop us by force if you wish." Rocco studied her face for a long moment. "I will not stop you. But I need to understand. This mission will likely mean death for whoever enters that core chamber." "I volunteer," Commander Doyan said, stepping forward. "The neural interface responds best to my brainwave pattern." Rocco looked confused. "These are not your people at risk. You've never even visited the threatened systems. Why would you sacrifice yourself for strangers?" "It's what we do," Ju answered simply. "Throughout human history, people have given their lives for others, even those they've never met." 3 hours later, their shuttle approached the ancient station. Behind them, they could see the Confederation's energy shields already beginning to falter under the anomaly's assault. Inside the station, they worked with quick precision. Hyjin and Juno prepared the main systems while Doyan readied himself for the core chamber. The interface would require his complete neural connection, exposing him to enormous energy surges. "The containment field will activate in stages," Hyjin explained. "You'll need to remain connected until all 3 phases complete." Doyan nodded calmly. "I understand." Before he entered the chamber, Ju gripped his shoulder. "We'll try to pull you out after the second phase. There might be a chance." "No," he interrupted gently. "Someone needs to hold it stable through the final phase. We all know what that means." He smiled. "It's been an honor serving with you, Captain." To everyone's surprise, 3 Confederation ships arrived as they initiated the sequence. Captain Rocco had brought volunteers to assist, not to stop them. "We will handle the external systems," he told Ju. Your officer should focus on the core. The process began. From the control room, they watched as Do-Yun connected to the ancient system. The chamber glowed with increasing intensity as the containment field began to form around the anomaly. The first phase completed successfully. Then the second. The anomaly's wild energy began to stabilize. But as the third phase began, power fluctuations threatened the entire system. "He's maintaining the connection," Haijin reported, watching the readings with amazement. "His mind is actually adapting to the system's demands." Against all expectations, the containment field fully activated. The anomaly's deadly expansion stopped, then slowly began to reverse. When they finally reached the core chamber hours later, they found Do-Yun unconscious but alive. Barely. The system had accepted his input without requiring his life. As medical teams worked to stabilize him, Captain Rocco stood beside Ju. "I have never seen such courage," he admitted. "Perhaps there is much more to strength than we understood." The grand chamber of the Galactic Confederation glowed with ceremonial lights. Beings from over 200 worlds filled the space, their diverse forms creating a living mosaic of galactic life. At the center stood a small group of humans, looking remarkably plain next to the towering, glittering, and exotic species surrounding them. Commander Do-Yun Kim stood with his team, still showing signs of his ordeal. The medical treatments had saved his life, but left him with silver streaks in his hair and a slight tremor in his left hand. Yet he stood tall, his eyes clear and focused as the ceremony began. Captain Ju Park watched as Ambassador Tekka approached the central platform. The massive Brune moved with a new carefulness around the humans, no longer treating them as fragile curiosities, but as equals deserving respect. 3 standard cycles ago, Tekka's voice resonated through the chamber. "We welcomed humans to our confederation with certain assumptions. We classified them as a Class C species based on our traditional metrics of biological capability." The ambassador gestured toward the human delegation. "We were wrong." A murmur spread through the gathered dignitaries. Such an admission from a senior Confederation official was unprecedented. The anomaly crisis revealed attributes we had never considered valuable. While our strongest warriors collapsed under gravitational pressure, humans remained functional. While our fastest thinkers calculated risks and benefits, humans acted to save lives they had never met. While our most adaptable species sought ways to escape danger, humans found ways to face it directly. Images appeared above the platform showing the human team at work, stabilizing the ship during the gravitational wave, exploring the ancient station, and finally, Do-Yun connecting to the core systems to contain the anomaly. "Today, by unanimous vote of the Grand Council, we have revised our classification system," Tekka announced. "Humans are now designated Class A special status, not for physical strength, but for attributes we failed to measure: adaptability, endurance, sacrifice, and cooperation." Jiwoo stepped forward to accept the formal recognition. A crystalline sphere containing symbols of all member species, with the human DNA helix now added alongside them. As she took it, she remembered those who didn't survive the mission. 2 support crew members had died when a section of the ancient station collapsed during the containment process. "On behalf of Earth and humanity, we are honored," she said simply. "We look forward to contributing to the Confederation in all ways we can." After the ceremony, species who had previously ignored humans now approached them with curiosity and questions. Confederation scientists had begun extensive studies of human history, particularly fascinated by how humans had survived on Earth, despite being physically outmatched by many predator species. "Your people developed tools instead of claws," noted a Nolu researcher. "You created cooperative hunting strategies instead of evolving greater speed. You built shelters instead of thicker skin. At every evolutionary crossroad, you chose adaptability over specialization. Necessity drove those choices," Haijin explained. "We weren't the strongest, so we had to be the smartest and the most persistent." As the formal reception continued, Captain Rocco made his way through the crowd toward Jiwoo. The Eric's commander had become an unexpected ally after witnessing the humans in action. Captain Park, he greeted her, lowering his tall frame in the Eric's gesture of respect. There is a matter I wish to discuss with you. They moved to a quieter corner of the chamber. The council has been deeply impressed by your species' performance, Rocco explained. We face many threats across our territories, some similar to the anomaly, others entirely different. We've realized our traditional approach may not always be effective. Jiwoo nodded. Different challenges require different strengths. Precisely. The Confederation is forming its first joint species rapid response team, drawing members from various worlds based on complementary abilities rather than traditional power hierarchies. Rocco paused, his expression serious. We request human leadership for this team. Jiwoo couldn't hide her surprise. Human leadership, not just participation. Your people demonstrated something we have forgotten, the value of seeing strength in its many forms, not just the obvious ones. You coordinate diverse skills effectively. You think beyond conventional approaches. You persevere when others would surrender. Jiwoo considered the offer carefully. We would be honored to serve alongside you, Captain Rocco. Though I believe leadership should be flexible, adapting to each situation's needs. A very human perspective, Rocco noted with what appeared to be a smile. And exactly why you were chosen. As the gathering began to disperse, the human team assembled near the observation windows. Beyond the transparent material, stars stretched into infinity, worlds they would now help protect. Science Director Haijin leaned toward her captain with a small smile. Not bad for a weak species. We were never weak, Jiwoo replied, watching as humans and aliens filed out together, talking as equals, just strong in ways they hadn't imagined. Do-hyun joined them, looking out at the stars. What happens now? Now, Jiwoo said, we show them what humans can really do when given a chance, and maybe learn some new kinds of strength from them as well. As they prepared to return to their ship, word arrived that the ancient station had revealed more secrets. The beings who built it, so similar to humans, had left messages throughout the galaxy. Finding them would require the unique combination of human intuition and alien expertise. The journey was just beginning. The Class A special status species had earned their place among the stars not through domination, but through the very qualities that had once been dismissed as weaknesses: endurance, adaptability, cooperation, sacrifice, the strength of humanity.